to be an option. Why can't I mute everybody? Well, here we go. And if you have a question, just come unmute yourself. But let's get started. So Virasana, everybody, knees together, feet wide enough apart so that on the happy day, you do sit all the way down with your sits bones to the floor. Those sits bones will be sitting on the floor and not on your feet. Okay, and then find the center points, the two center points of your sits bones. And Cliff, if you're going to stay in swastika, can you sit in Virasana? There you go. So knees together, feet wide apart. Take your hands, slide your feet between your heels and your thighs, just to be sure that your feet are really outside of your thighs. They shouldn't be under your thighs. And if they're under your thighs, move those feet further out so you can see my feet on the sides of my thighs. Good. Then lift your knee and just elongate your shin. Pull the skin forward. And that helps really press the shins and ankles into the floor because it makes them longer. Then sit back up. Take your fingertips beside you. I have short arms, so I put mine on my heels, but if you have long arms, you can put your hands on the floor. And find the exact center of those two sits bones. Most of us tend to sit a little forward or back. Find what the real center of those 2 points is. And from those 2 points, lift up through the middle body, lift up through the sternum, lift up all the way into the chest, and then reach up through the back of the head as if there were a string coming out of the very back of your head and making your spine long. Keeping the length, extend your arms and bring your palms to your chest. You can use your thumbs to lift your sternum one more time. And then, keeping your spine vertical, release your trapezius muscles, the back of the shoulders, down toward the floor, keeping the sternum lifted. Good. If you wear glasses, remove them. We're gonna, for a moment, just observe our own breath. Notice the patterns of your breath. Is it fast or slow, shallow or deep, rough or smooth? Don't try to change it, just observe your breath. And that breath observation draws us inward toward the realm of yoga. I'll chant 3 ohms. You can all join or listen, and remember you're muted so you can join to your heart's content and nobody will hear you. Complete exhalation, full inhalation. Re-lift your chest if it has gotten any lower. And release your head toward your heart. Take a moment to set an intention for your work this morning. If you want to focus on your breathing, if you want to focus on your attention, if you just want to focus on being mindful, choose your own intention. And then release your hands, raise your head, and softly open your eyes. Don't focus your gaze at first, just let the light come in. And then let's do some shoulder opening. I think I told some of you this is back bend week, but we're going to do mostly supported back bends or back bends with props because it was the time change and a lot of us are fatigued. And Tushar, do you have a good, you do have a belt. All right. So everybody just take the belt and take your hands as wide apart on the belt as they need to be so that when you bring your hands up and behind you, your elbows stay straight. So it doesn't matter, they can be really, really wide apart, but be super careful that you do not micro bend your elbows as they come back. And feel what a great shoulder opener that is, especially for those of us with tight shoulders. Keep drawing the shoulder blades down your back. Don't let them roll up as the arms come up. And keep the sternum lifted. Don't collapse forward. Good. And then come all the way up and go to one side and really open the ribs on the side you're leaning away from. Just stretch those ribs, push that top arm up. Good, and then come to the other side, same thing, press the arm up, open the ribs. Super, release the strap. Arms out in front of you at shoulder height. Check back in with the sits bones, press those 2 points, lift the sternum, don't let the back curve again. Good. Interlace the fingers. Rotate the palms forward with the fingers still interlaced. Press the sits bones again, and from the 2 points of the sits bones, swing the hands up into Badakanasana, bound finger pose. Keep the elbows straight. Press through the palms, not the fingers. Make one long line of energy. Keep pulling those trapezius muscles down, even as the palms go up. See if you can move the hands any amount behind the head, keeping the elbows straight. And bring the hands back down. Check to see which finger is on top because we get to do the second cross. So arms out in front, second cross. It should feel strange. Rotate the palms forward, trapezius muscles down, and from those 2 sits bones, swing the arms up and press the palms to the ceiling. Get long. 2 points of the sits bones pressing down, arms shooting up to the ceiling, palms wide. See if you can move the arms any amount behind the head. One more breath. And release the arms down. And Tushar, you might want to turn your body so that your knees are facing me so you don't have to turn your head to look and see what we're doing, because that could put a little kink in your neck, and especially if you're having back problems. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. So I'm going to remove this, even though my ankle is still weird. Stay in Virasana because we're going to do some forward Virasana just to open the side ribs. So this time, the original Virasana was knees together, feet apart. Come forward, put your hands down, and bring your big toes together and knees apart. So this is still called Virasana, but it's the opposite orientation of the legs. Toes together, knees very wide apart. And if you broke your ankle recently, you can put something under it. That's just me. Good. Then sit on your heels, press the entire shin from toe tip to ankle, and then all the way up the shin into the floor. Make that the support of the pose. And everybody, if you have bricks near you, because not everybody's going to be able to walk forward and keep their sits bones grounded, then grab a couple of bricks. And Tushar, if you have to get up, don't. Just see what happens when you come forward. Then walk yourself a little forward. Walk forward, press your sits bones back, and lift the sternum. If you need to ask me a question, you can unmute. Just go to the 3 dots and unmute. So I'll show from the side. I'm sitting on my heels. I'm walking my bricks forward, and every time I come a little forward, I make sure my sits bones press back and my sternum comes forward to keep my spine straight. Then I come more forward, sits bones back, sternum forward, more forward, sits bones back, sternum forward. Until eventually we come all the way down and rest our head either on the floor or on a brick, like this. So there we go. Everybody pull the sits bones back. Good, good. And Tushar, why don't you grab that pillow and put it under your head so that you have some support. Yeah, and if you ever have a question, I mean, I know a lot of this stuff sounds crazy, just come up, go to the 3 dots on the side of your picture, and if you click them, you'll have a chance to unmute yourself, and feel free to ask questions. Anybody else too? All right, then from this position, lift your fingertips up. I'm mirroring, you walk your hands to your right. I'm doing the opposite so that it looks like I'm a mirror. And when you come as far to your right as you can, I need to lift my abdominal flesh over my thigh, then extend back out. and bring your head to your support again. So your left arm will be stretched straight, your right arm can be bent, and you can be using it to help support yourself. And really keep yourself moving to the side. So you should feel a great left rib stretch. And breathe. And then come up on your fingertips. Come back to the center and a tushar. If this ever feels bad, do let me know. If it feels bad on that lower back, say something, please. And then come all the way over to your left. Same thing, I need to move my abdominal flesh over the thigh. Now you're going to be stretching your right arm out. Your left arm can be bent to help you keep that twist as you release your head either to the ground or to your brick. Keep pulling the right hip back toward your heel. So ideally that hip bone, the sits bone, is still on the heel. Mine has come up just a little bit, so I really pull back to get it in place. And that intensifies the stretch in my side ribs. And then come up and back to the center. And take the center position one more time. Reground your sits bones on your heels and extend. Get long and be symmetrical. And rest your forehead one more time. And then lift your head. Walk yourself back up to seated. And then we will come to all fours for our first downward facing dog of the day. And again, I'll show from the side, but y'all can keep facing forward. So wrists under shoulders, first fingers parallel to the edges of your mat, knees a little behind your hips. Roll the upper arms forward so that the eyes of the elbows face the wall in front of you. Tuck your toes under behind you. Press up and back so that your hips come far, far back and your ears are between your elbows. And then straighten the knees, keeping the head between the elbows so that the hips come up to the ceiling. Stay on your tiptoes for a minute and really press the first finger and thumb into the floor to press the entire arms up and back up toward the sits bones. Stretch the arms, stretch the legs. And then when you're ready, keep the legs poker straight as you pull the heels down toward the floor. They may not touch the floor, but they should be reaching for the floor. Then check back in with the arms. Press the first finger base joint and the thumb base joint to drive the shoulder blades up toward the sits bones. Pull the thighs back to the wall behind you. You all stay. I'm coming up to look. Keep working. Straighten the elbows any amount. And pull the thighs back. Pull the thighs back. Pull the thighs back. Good, and then walk forward. And when your feet are under your hips, stop. Tushar, keep your knees a little bent here so that you can protect the lower back. Everybody else, straight legs. Lift the hips, engage the quadriceps, pull the knees up. And then put your hands on your hips, roll your shoulders back and come all the way up. Good, yeah, good bent knees. Excellent. All right. This was going to be a little longer, but I actually think this might be good for everybody. Tushar, do you have a chair with a straight edge? We're going to be using yoga chairs, but you don't necessarily need a yoga chair for this. You just need a chair that doesn't have a curved edge, that has a straight edge in front. Do you have something like that? And everybody else, grab your yoga chairs or any chair with a straight edge in front. If you're using a yoga chair, take your strap the back, just make a loop and strap the back top to this back rung so that the chair won't accidentally fold up when you're using it. This is a really cool little trick. So I can do everything to it and it's not going to fold. So take a minute and really, oh, yours won't strap. Who am I looking at? Hi, Kristen. Go slowly because I don't want your chair to fold on you, right? So just, yeah, be mindful. And here's the cool thing. I love this thing. Put the back of the chair in a wall for a little more stability. And this is like a down dog, right? Let me just put my shirt off so y'all can see. But what happens is I bring my hands into about, I don't know, 3/4 of the way. It depends on forearm length toward my back, toward the back legs of the chair. I have my forearms on the ground, my elbows on the ground, but then I lift up into a modified down dog. And I walk in. I need to walk my elbows in a little more. And then my thoracic spine finds that edge of the chair. And as I walk in, it straightens my thoracic spine. It's just amazing because most of us curve a little there, and this provides wonderful support. It's like when the teacher, if we were in a classroom, I would come and push in on your thoracic spines. I will show carefully from the side so that you can see what happens, but really the back of the chair needs to be in a wall for support. So my hands come way in here, and I come up and I'm pressing onto the edge of that chair to flatten my thoracic spine, to push my thoracic spine in, which is the part that so many of us have trouble with. So go ahead and put your chair against a wall. Yep, good. And then come down, so forearms on the floor. And really your elbows will probably be almost at or even at the front legs of the chair. Tushar, if you would like to tip your camera down a little so I can see, that might be a good idea because I can't see you. Thank you, yes. All right, and then when you're ready, straighten your legs and walk in and allow the edge of the chair press against your thoracic spine. Walk in even more, Tushar, if you can. Even more. And everybody should feel the edge of the chair pressing against the spine. So stay as long as it feels useful, then come down to your knees and take a rest when you need to. And then once you've done that, go back up at least 2 more times. I'm letting you do this on your own pace, but to feel what it feels like when that thick stuck part of the thoracic spine can really draw in with the help of the chair. These are looking good. And Tushar, thumbs up or down, that's not hurting your lower back, is it? Good, good. Thank you. All right. So some people are still on their 3rd time. Take your time. And when you're done, then we will come to standing and have a belt. And we'll also use the wall. So back yourself up to the wall. It can be the same wall that your chair was just at. Now we're still working on the thoracic spine. This part of the spine, it's really tight, it's really stuck, and for a lot of people, it rounds forward in downward facing dog and a lot of other poses. It shouldn't. It should open up. See how my thoracic spine literally curves in from the back when I do that? That's what we're working on. That's what the chair was just giving us, and that's what this exercise is going to give us too. So stand back at the wall. If you have lower back pains, to start talking to you, keep your feet hip width apart, but be sure that the feet are the midlines are parallel to the edges of the room. So don't let your toes turn out or in. Midlines parallel, that means middle toe facing straight forward. And literally put yourself on the wall. My back is on the wall. When I raise my arms, they're gonna come to the wall, and that's the whole goal of this. Okay? And Kristen, I can't see are you standing or are you? Don't think this is good for you?
It's a little much on my abdomen to put both arms up at the same time standing.
Okay, that is a good point. How about if you sit cross-legged and do the same thing? Still open the thoracic, and this way you're gonna get support. Thanks. Cool. All right. All right, so everybody back at the wall. If you have lower back pain, feet hip width apart, otherwise feet together. Now I'm gonna show sideways, but y'all stay at the wall. This is me in my normal stance. I have a very deep lumbar curve down here, and that's not good. So when I tell you I'm gonna move my hands up so you can see. Pull your buttocks down towards your heels. Look at what happens to my lower back. My buttocks go down toward my heels and my back flattens. So literally I engage the crease between my buttocks and my hamstring, pull that down to the heels, and it elongates the lower back. And Tushar, this is gonna be really good for your lower back pain. You can do that with feet apart too. Instead of allowing the back to curve, pull the buttocks down to the heels, and it straightens the back. And you should feel a little relief in that back already. And then keeping the buttocks pulling down toward the heels, swing the arms up, take your thumbs and touch the wall. All fingers extended, but your two thumbs are reaching backward and touching the wall. Keep pulling the buttocks down toward the floor. I see some micro bent elbows. Reach up through your ring fingers to keep those elbows straight. Buttocks down, arms up. Buttocks down, arms up. Then release your arms, take your belt, make a loop that is inner shoulder width wide, so about from inner shoulder to inner shoulder, so that when you put your wrists in it, your arms are at shoulder height. And we're going to do the same thing. So re-engage the buttocks, buttocks down toward the floor to pull that curve out of the lower back. Some people are still making their loops. So go ahead and make your loop, but when you've got that, then raise your arms. Press into the loop with your two wrists and use that to raise the arms even more. That helps us keep from accidentally bending the elbows. So press the heels down. Press the big toe base joints down. Pull the buttocks down toward the floor and reach up through the arms. One more breath. And release. All of this again is just to start waking up that thoracic spine that does not like to be concave. All right, this is a fun one. If you have a second mat you can roll up your second mat. This is actually something I learned from Anne years ago. She brought it home from a workshop. And roll it up tight. If you do not have a second mat, take a blanket and make a roll. And again, I'll show sideways. And then put it narrowwise across your mat that I'm showing sideways. And have a brick. And once you have all of your props, people are still rolling. And Kristen, this is a lying down pose. This should not be a problem at all unless you're having any tightness in your shoulders or chest, but this should be okay for you. So what I've done is I've put my roll down below my shoulder blades. So it really is right at the bottom tips of the shoulder blades. I recline over the roll, make sure that roll is on my shoulder blades. You can move a little bit to find the tightest part of your shoulder blades. We all have a tight part of the shoulder blades. So once you've found that, you've got your knees bent here, then extend the legs. Tushar, if this feels like too much on your lower back, you can keep your knees slightly bent. Anybody else with lower back problems can keep their knees bent, but the full pose is like straight. And then I take my bricks, everybody look. I hold my brick between my two hands. So the bottom part of my palm is pressing the brick, my fingers are pressing the brick, but I'm not gripping it with my fingers, I'm pressing it with my hands. And I just go up and down. And the roll under my shoulder blades literally massages me as I move my brick overhead and down. Up, overhead, down. Up, overhead, down. Tushar, if you do not have a brick, go get a book. And you can hold it because otherwise the pages would open. Up and down. If it feels like nothing much is happening, try moving a ½ inch up or down on your shoulder blades to find the sticky place. I promise we all have a sticky place in our shoulder blades. After you've gone up and down about 10 times, then come back to vertical, so your hands and the brick are reaching up toward the ceiling, and go side to side. side to side. So you're moving, your wrists have to flex and extend as you do this, but the elbows stay straight. And you're staying in the same plane as your shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. And just feel, keep checking back in with your shoulder blades. Are you feeling where the tight spots are in that thoracic spine? You don't have to bring the brick all the way to the floor. In fact, I think it would be difficult for most people to bring the brick all the way to the floor when you're doing the side to side. It's just about opening some space in that thoracic spine and in the shoulder girdle. All right, and when you've done side to side about 10 times, then go ahead and release the brick. Bend your knees, roll to your side, and come up to sitting. Did that feel like it helped to release things for anybody? Good, you like that? I love that. I have very tight shoulders. I do that a lot because it's very important for me. Good, I'm glad that worked for some of you. Okay, Uttanasana Concave. So if I don't know you, too sure I'm talking about you, put a chair in front of you. If I do know you and if I've seen you do this before, you can use bricks. But too short, again with your lower back problem, you're gonna wanna use the chair. So just bring it to the front of your mat. I'm moving this back up and I'll show from the front. So you'll be doing this too short, but I'm gonna show from the side so everybody can see. We're just heading toward Uttanasana, but we're gonna just do the concave Uttanasana since it's back bend week and we don't wanna move into a real forward bend. I'm headless now. So with your bricks or your chair in front of you, everybody stand hip width apart. And yeah, Kristen, you too. Chair and build it up. If you even want bricks on a chair, that's fine. Okay. So midlines of the feet parallel to the edges of your mat. For most people, that feels a little pigeon-toed because we tend to walk with our toes turned out. Press the big toe base joint and the outer heel. That spreads the weight across the entire foot. Lift all 10 toes. That engaged your quadriceps. Keeping the quadriceps engaged, gently let the toes back down, but keep the quadriceps engaged. Keep lifting the knees up. And then hands to your hips. Too sorry, you might want to micro bend your knees to come forward to protect that lower back, but everybody else pivot forward with a straight back and bring your fingertips to your chair or the bricks in front of you. Keep the back straight. Come back to your legs. Press the big toe base joint and outer heel. Lift the knees. Push the thighs to the wall behind you and pull the sternum forward. Use the hands on whatever your support is, chair or bricks, to push the sternum forward. So I'm pushing my hands backward to extend my sternum forward. Thighs back, sternum forward. Thighs back, sternum forward. It's all about making the spine long. Good. Don't let your head descend below your spine level because that puts too much pressure on the neck. Yeah, good. Extend the spine. Now, Tushar, if you can come down a little bit lower, you can walk your hands a little further in the chair, but you decide what's too much load for that lower back. So if anybody, everybody can take a lower pose. You can walk your hands forward on a chair. You can turn the bricks down a level, but don't do anything that compromises your back safety. So come to your safe lowest pose with a concave back. We're not coming into the full pose where we let the chest descend. We're keeping the chest and sternum moving forward. One more breath of an extension. And then hands to your hips, roll your shoulders back. If you're too sharp, bend your knees a little bit and come all the way up. All right. Virasana, triangle pose. So have either a chair or a brick out to your right. I'll be mirroring again. And the chair is for people who are stiffer or who are experiencing back pain. So I'll show you both. And again, I'm mirroring, you're going to be going to your right. So we will come to Tadasana, mountain pose, in the middle of our mats. Mountain pose is feet together. Press the big toe base joint down, press the outer heels down, lift the knees, press the thighs to the wall behind you, and always buttocks toward the floor to elongate that lower back. Good. Then step or jump your feet wide. Definitely step if you're having back pain. No jumping with back pain. Good. And extend your arms out to the side. Edges of the feet need to be parallel to the edges of the mat. So again, it's a little bit, it feels a little pigeon-toed. It's not, it's actually straight ahead, but it feels a little more pigeon-toed than we usually walk. Good. Now everybody turn your left toes in a little and your right leg all the way to the right. Then for most of us, the pelvis got a little skew. So put your fingertips on your pelvis and straighten it to the wall in front of you. Good. Then press into that back heel. Make both legs poker straight and reach to the side, reach to the side, reach to the side, reach to the side, and come down so that your hand is either on the seat of the chair or on your brick. And park your left hand on your hip. Press into that back heel. Suck the right leg's hip back toward the wall behind you, that way. Pull that hip back that way. Feel how that elongates the lower back and releases it. With the hand on the hip, rotate your torso to the ceiling. Good. And then keeping both legs working at their maximum, raise the arm and rotate the torso again to the ceiling. Pull the two arms away from each other. Extend the arms and legs, Konasana, triangle pose. Inhabit the pose for 2 more breaths. And come up, toes forward. Move your prop to the second side if you only have one. Good. And this time, right toes in a little, left leg all the way left, and I even saw my hips twist. So re-square the pelvis after you turn the feet so that the pelvis is straight forward. And then reach, 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 reach. Get long as if you're trying to reach the wall on the other side of the room. And when you have enough extension, when you've extended as much as you can, bring your hand down to your support and park your other hand on your waist. Good. Press into the back heel to elongate the spine. Rotate the torso to the ceiling. Front leg, everybody press that front leg big toe base joint to re-engage that inner thigh. Some of those got a little mindless, that's all. They just got a little mindless. And then with both legs working, let that top arm float up to the ceiling. Rotate the torso one more time and embody the pose. Tushar, is this feeling too much? You can unmute yourself and talk. I can't hear you though. I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? One more breath and then everybody come up, toes forward and step together. So what's going on? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah. So I can't do it.
I think I did the same side twice. It's all.
That's okay. So we're going to do it again. So this time do both sides, do the other one, okay? Because we're actually doing the whole thing again. And this time when we do our Trikonasana, we're going to focus on the fact, just watch for a second. This way. When you do Trikonasana, notice that thoracic spine is actually bending, right? This is not a straight spine pose. When you come up, there's a little bit of curve in that top spine, the one that we've been working on. So we're going to focus on that this time. So everybody take your feet wide again. And Tushar, just do your second side twice. Don't listen to the directions I'm saying. So if you're not too sure, everybody, left toes in a little, right leg all the way right, and re-square the pelvis and torso. Then go ahead and come down to your support. I'll use my shin this time. And put your hand on your hip so that you can rotate the torso and feel how much that thoracic spine. Everybody take your thumb, put your thumb under the armpit of the top arm and really lift the sternum. Use that thumb to try to coil that thoracic spine any amount more. Then extend the arm. Two arms pull away from each other. Rotate the torso. If it's okay on your neck, look at the ceiling. Reach. And come up, toes forward. We're just gonna go straight to the second side. So this time, right toes in a little, left leg all the way left, re-square the pelvis and torso. And come to your second side. Park your hand on your hip, rotate the torso, use the thumb to open the armpit and lift the thoracic, coil the thoracic forward. And when you've got, and it feels really stuck here, but that's good to work with. When you've got as much thoracic coil as you can, then reach the arms away from each other. Allow your eyes to look at the thumb if your neck is amenable, and embody the pose. And up, toes forward, and step together. Up next is Konasana. And Kristen and Tushar, keep using chairs, okay? And anybody else who's having lower back issues, anybody, I don't think that's gonna be a problem. I'm going to the other side first. So we start the same way in Tadasana, mountain pose. And then step or jump your feet wide. And right toes in a little, left leg, sorry, you're going to the right, I'm going to the left. Left toes in a little, right leg all the way right. Re-square the pelvis and the torso forward. But this time, this is a bent leg pose. And so we're going to take 3 bends, and we're going to be very careful as we bend that that right knee tracks over the middle toe. Okay, so we're all going to do it. So first of all, get straight up. Don't be leaning toward the front leg. Good. Arms out. And then everybody bend the knee down. Make sure it tracks over the middle toe. If it doesn't, you're going to end up with knee pain. Come back up. Watch your knee. Make sure it tracks over the middle toe. We go down 2. And then back up. Watch your knee. Make sure it tracks over the middle toe. 3 and stay. Descend. Ideally, that front thigh is parallel to the floor. Lift the torso. Descend 1 inch more. And then reach over to your chair or a brick behind your front leg and park your other hand on your hip. Then descend the hip, not the chest. Chest up, hip down. T-shirt, can you lift your chest up anymore? Yes, but hip down. Yes, that's the pose. Good. This should not be a problem on that low back. Yeah? Okay. Now, Kristen and Tushar, what's it bothering? The leg, okay. So come a little less, use the chair, use a little less height, but keep the chest up, right? Just don't come as low. If you're all the way down in the pose, except Kristen, arm up, but Kristen, you should keep your hand on your hip. Everybody else, arm up, palm toward the head, and come to the full pose. Extend through the ring finger, 1 line of energy from the back heel through the ring finger, and look up under that arm. Breathe. And then arm up, torso up, knees straight, toes forward. Anybody in trouble? All right, move your support if you only have one. This time, right toes in a little, left leg all the way to the left, re-square the pelvis and torso. We're gonna do the same thing, 3 bends to make sure that the knee tracks over the middle toe, okay? So bend number 1. Come up. Bend number 2, these are looking good. Come up. Bend number 3, stay. Be sure the knee's still over the middle toe here. Give your breath if you were silly enough not to. And then reach out, hand down to the support, park your other hand on your hip. One line, it should be one line. So you can all see yourselves. If this thing is happening, bring the torso up more, right? The hips come down, not the torso. These are looking good. Everybody except Kristen. Oh, don't fall, arms up. Turn the palm toward the head side. And bring the arm into the full pose. One line of energy from the heel through the ring finger. And breathe. Nice. Then arm back, torso up, knee straight, toes forward. And step together. Konasana, side angle pose. Okay. Virasana 1. And Kristen, this also, you don't want to do the arms. Keep your arms below your shoulders, but I think other than that, this should be okay. And let me know if I'm wrong, please unmute yourself and say something. Everybody bring the short edge of your mat to the wall. This is the way that Devin Dedrick, who's one of my main teachers, she teaches here too, has been teaching Virasana 1, Warrior 1 lately. And it's been really useful for me. So I want you to start with your right leg forward. I'm still mirroring. Actually, I'm not going to mirror because my broken ankle doesn't bend well. So start the way I am starting with your left heel at the wall, right leg 2 big steps forward. We can all do this together. And of course, Kristen, don't take your maximum. Once you step forward, take your fingertips to your pelvic bones. Chances are that right leg is going to be ahead. The right pelvis is going to be ahead of the left pelvis. So pull the hip back, right hip back, press the left hip forward from its heel until those 2 hip blades are equidistant from the wall in front of you. Okay? And then hands on your hips, lift the sternum. We're getting back to that coiling action in the thoracic. Elbows back, lift the sternum, back leg poker straight, pressing into the heel with your wall, pressing into the wall with your heel, front leg pressing the big toe base joint to pull that hip back. And then just straighten your arms, Kristen, you can do this too, and reach back. Can you touch the wall? Can you touch the wall? Okay, Kristen, I'm just now saying that you don't have your heel at the wall, but that's okay if you want more stability with your side of the wall. I trust you. All right, and then bring your hands back straight down. Check to be sure that the pelvis is still straight forward. And those of us with our heel at the wall, swing your arms up. And again, Kristen, don't do this. And then reach back. Can you touch that wall? Can you find the wall? But from the sternum, this should not be a lower back thing. Too sharp, be real careful. Don't go into lower back pain. In fact, you might want to just put your hands on your hips and just lift the sternum and work on opening this thoracic spine. And everybody else, can you do this? Yeah, wow. Okay. And then straight up, but keep the lift in the chest. When you bring the hands off the wall, don't let that sternum collapse. It's still lifting for the ceiling as we slowly bend the front knee. And re-square the hips. Arms up, sternum up. If it's okay with your neck, look up. One more breath. And then straighten the front leg, just turn sideways to come out. And bring the feet together. Is anyone in danger?
No, Vicky, but I got a question.
Yes.
All right. This is one pose that I have never mastered.
It's hard.
Well, especially with my body. So either I bend my knee and my back heel lifts up, or I keep my back heel down and I can barely bend my knee.
So work with the back heel up, but realize that it's a process, right? So yeah, start with the back heel up, but over time, see if you can bring it down. And for me, that time meant years, literally. This was a very askew pose for me for years, and it's still not perfect, but eventually you do elongate, and it's the hips, it's the inner groin, it's the fact that those are tight.
Yeah, it's just that if I don't give somewhere, I just can't progress.
So yeah, keep that back heel up a little bit on the wall so that you can bend the front knee. Good question.
Thank you.
Second side. And for people who have just broken their ankles, I actually need a prop for the second side because that poor leg is not coming back at all fast, but it's coming back. So right leg to the wall, left leg forward. Again, I'm not mirroring this time. I'm doing just what you're doing. Hands on the hips to begin. Press the right heel into the wall. Press the left big toe base joint into the floor, and from there, pull that hip back to level the hips. Take your fingertips, be sure your hip points are equidistant from the wall in front of you. If you can't get it here, you're not gonna have a chance once the knee bends, right? And then keeping those legs firm, reach back. Can you touch the wall here? My tight shoulders make that a yes, but just barely. But here I am, I'm touching that wall. And then swing your arms up, lift the sternum, and see if you can reach back for the wall here. And I'm much tighter on this side because I have a groin injury from the broken ankle. Wearing those boots is really hard on all those joints apparently. So I'm not as good on this side as I was on the other side. And that's something to notice and work on, that's all. Bodies are fascinating. And then keeping the arms up, bring them off the wall, keep the sternum lifted as you descend the left knee. Keep the right pelvis pulling forward. Don't let that hip blade swing back. And once you're in the pose, keep that back leg poker straight, even if the heel's up, back leg straight, pressing into the wall, sternum up, look up if it's okay in your neck. One more breath. And then straighten the front knee, turn to the side, arms down, and step in. Yeah, that is very intense. And Tushar, is that okay? Because that is a lot of work on the low back. Are you in trouble? Good, all right. No trouble is what I like to hear. Chair Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, I love this. Everybody still has a chair. You are going to put your chair back at the wall, but I'm going to show sideways so you can see what I'm doing. This is just upward facing dog. And with the chair at the wall, I put my hands on the edge of the chair and walk my feet back, bend my elbows so that I can swing my torso through. Okay, so my chest is through my arms, and eventually come to the tops of my toenails and lift my sternum. Now, I've got really broad shoulders, and that is a tight fit for my torso. So if that's true for any of you, you can also take a plank, a pole, something wider, right? And put that on the chair so that you have a little more room to bring the torso through and then turn the feet under. And lift, lift, lift. All right. So Tushar, keep pulling the buttock flesh back toward the heels. That is what protects your lower back in these baby back bends. As much as you can, just engage the bottom buttock flesh and pull it toward the heels. And then sternum up. Look forward, not down. These are looking good. These are looking good. Kristen, do you think that even a chair one is going to be too much? Okay, why don't you go ahead for Badakanasana, because we don't have that right now, but I think that's, yeah. So everybody do 3 of these. The goal at this point, I mean, the legs, straight legs are a given. That looks very nice. Nice, Karen, yeah. Straight legs are given, do straighten the elbows, but the goal is to lift the sternum through the arms. That's what we're working on here. So shoulders down and back, shoulders down and back. Yes, much better. Karen, isn't this lamp light nice? I do love it for this. Yeah, my shoulders too. Yeah, yeah, there's just no way. I just feel so constrained when my hands are on the chair. All right, if you have done your 3, then go ahead and set the chair aside, set your weight. Chair against the wall. That's it. Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Vicky? Hi, this is Karen Carpenter. When I do this, it hurts the top of my toes.
Yeah. So one of my old teachers used to say, yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm not saying that. She would say that because that's not an injurious thing. That's because the top of your toe skin is sensitive. Put a double mat under the top of your toes. Okay. And if that really just still hurts, keep your toes curled under.
Okay.
But that's not a thing that will cause injury. That's just a sensitivity thing, which I totally understand. And like the tops of my feet are super sensitive. And that's exactly what she used to say. I'm not worried about that. It's like, well, I am.
All right.
I'm worried. Yeah, so double a mat for a while and see if that helps. All right, we're gonna skip one of these things. We're gonna skip 2 of these things. All right, what kind of chair does everybody have? Tushar, is that a chair with arms? Is that the oh, yeah. Okay, use that one. So we're going to do a little bit of chair work. This is another thing where, I'll show sideways, but you're gonna have the back of your chair about arm's distance from a wall, and then you're gonna put something soft on the back of your chair, like an extra mat or a blanket, because we're gonna be going over the back. So I'll show, for those of you who don't know this, the most important thing in this is to put your feet on your chair legs. That keeps the chair from flipping up on you, because that would be disastrous and we will not have that. So feet on the chair legs. But now I'm going to show from the side so that you can see what I'm actually doing. Again, the wall will still be behind you. The first thing we do is hook the arms under the back of the chair. And Tushar, I'm not sure that your chair will let you do that, but you can hold the seat from the bottom. But hook the elbows and use it just to open the thoracic. I'm pulling my elbows in and really opening that part of the spine, right? I'm gonna show all the things so y'all don't have to come up, so just watch from it. After we've done this for a while, feet on the chair legs, I lift up and literally put my body weight, so my buttocks are lifted and my body weight is on the back of the chair right at that stuck thoracic place. And this is kind of lovely. Then you've got the wall behind you and you can put your hands on the wall and carefully walk your hands down the wall. And when this is too much for you, you can just sit back down. Kristen, do you think baby ones of this are going to be okay or not? Nope. All right. Back bends are probably not your best friend right now. So why don't you do Upavista Konasana? So upward Upavista Konasana. Yeah. Just up. And I wouldn't even do twists at this point. I would keep my hands back here and just work on extending the back hip crease down as if there were a C-clamp, really pulling the back points to the floor. And from those 2 points, extending the thighs more and more flat against the ground. Okay? Everybody else, are we on the chairs? All right. Tushar, you look skeptical. Are you going to be doing that? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But, so if you're doing that, I want to see your legs. Tip your camera, please. Thank you. Laura, stop. Feet on the front of the chair. Let me show. Because hooked behind, they're not going to ground it to the floor. If they're like this, yeah, then the chair can't go anywhere. Go back. See, they have to be on the chair leg. You are doing this and the chair can still come off, and that's scary. So yeah, keep the feet, the heels on the chair leg. Thank you. All right. All right, these are looking good. And Laura, if you have a situation I don't understand, let me know. But it looks to me like your hands are on your chair seat, and really I'm turning sideways to show again. The hands come back here. The first step, and I'll show without the maybe mats in the way. The first step is to just put my hands on the outside of the chair to open this. But then when I lift up, see my hands are on the chair seat. They're really not doing much because the weight of my body is on the chair back. So I think I saw this, and that's not going to help your thoracic spine. We pushed up. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yes, yes, yes. And maybe I was just seeing wrong. These cameras have their limits, don't they? Tushar, I have a favor to ask you. Do you have 2 blankets or 1 blanket? Or your pillow, either one. What I want for you though is some support under your sits bones when you sit like this, because our goal is always a straight spine. And what I see is that your spine is doing this. So if you put a little more height under here, maybe even a brick, right? Then you can keep the spine straight. Yes, good, yeah. And you can use your hands too, just be sure that you don't let the spine curve, because that'll put pressure on that low back, which we don't want. All right, has everybody had their wall experience? Yay. All right. Hang on. One more baby back bend, and I think everybody can do this, including Kristen. So, Ekapada, Badakanasana, half frog, but standing at the wall instead of lying down on our bellies, Kristen. That's why we needed to do it. So we'll be at the wall, bent arm distance from the wall, but I'm going to show sideways so that you can see. So I'm still supported by the wall, and I bend up my right leg, and I make sure that it stays in line with my knee. Most of us, it'll want to come forward or back. Keep the 2 knees in line, but use your right hand to pull that as close to your side hip as possible. So again, Ekapada, one-legged, half frog pose, and I'm pulling this in toward my hip. And then watch everybody when it's time to come out. This is a Peggy Kelly thing. She's our senior Austin teacher. I'm going to go so slowly, I'm going to engage my hamstring muscles so that when I let go, I keep myself almost in the same position. That's the tricky part. All right. So right leg up first. Now everybody can bring that right knee in line with the left knee, because most of them have noodled a little forward. Yep, good. Yeah, and then engage the hamstring, engage the hamstring. See if you can get the foot any closer to the hip. Descend the buttocks down toward the floor, even here. Be of good cheer, the back bends are almost over. All right, try one more time to get it closer, and then prepare yourself. Engage, wait, don't just drop it. Remember, everybody who just dropped it, put that foot back up again. Engage the hamstring and let go so slowly that the foot stays where it is. I literally got a cramp doing mine just a second ago because it's such hard work, but it's good for us. All right, second side. Pick up your left leg. This is okay, right, Kristen? Good. Everybody make sure that that left knee has not gotten forward of the right knee. Bring them in line. Engage the hamstring and pull the foot in closer to the hip. Pull the foot in closer. Pull the foot in closer. Descend the buttocks down toward the floor. Feel how that changes the pose. That means that we were all curving in the lower back. And now it's time to think about letting go of the foot. So engage the hamstring and let go so slowly that there's almost no rebound. And I really always do get an almost cramp in my hamstring when I do that, which means it's good for me and I should do it more. All right. Jatara Parvattanasana, yay. It is twist time. So we get to now lie on our back on our mat with our arms holding the sides of the mat, and we're going to lie down on the mat long lies. So this is the long side of my mat. I'm lying down so that my shoulders are at, again, this is the short edge, so that my shoulders are at this edge, and I can pull it aside and use it to ground myself. And then watch before you lie down so that you don't have to twist your neck. I tuck my knees up into my chest. And Kristen, that's as much as you're gonna do. You're just gonna tuck your knees up into your chest. Everybody else, we're gonna do the twist. I ground everything. I ground my left shoulder down, and I bring my knees up and over to hover over my right elbow. Left shoulder stays on the ground. I do that by keeping my abdomen moving back toward my left hip. Right? So over, don't let that shoulder come up. And the way you do that is by continuing the abdominal work back toward the left hip, and that keeps everything from falling over the side. So just back and forth. I don't let my thighs come down to the ground, I'm hovering. And again, a lot of abdominal work back away from the knees to keep myself from just falling. Okay? And go a little slower, Tushar. We make things go slowly so that they're harder. Yeah. See if you can get the knees any more together. I know it's hard. And those of you who are already knees together, see if you can draw the knees closer up toward the elbow. Yes, nice adjustment. Keep that opposite shoulder grounded. By the way, the twists are very good for back problems. One more to each side. I see Karen doing the straight-legged version. That's harder, and that's perfectly fine. That's a nice form too. And once you've done both sides, go ahead and put your feet flat on the floor so that I'll know that you're done. And then get 2 blankets to set up for Viparita Karani. And Tushar, again, you can use your pillow. Let me show you what this is. Viparita Karani is really just legs up the wall, but it's a lovely pose for pacifying the abdomen. It also gives us all of the physiological benefits of the bigger inversions. The endocrine system, the circulatory system. So if we've got 2 blankets, we put them here. And you might want to explore, I used to use towels before I had blankets, but don't go get them now, just use your pillow. And then to come in, you put your buttocks on the wall and slide sideways so that when you are on your blankets, your buttock bones are still on the wall. You're not further away. So my 2 buttock bones are literally touching the wall and my legs are straight up the wall. And my arms can just come out into a bent armed cactus position. And I rest here. And I wear glasses, so I take them off so that my temples can be soft. And this is the pose, Viparita Karani. And the one thing to focus on with Viparita Karani is that with every exhalation, The abdomen should pacify toward the ground. It really just descends toward the ground because gravity is helping it. Yeah, so sometimes, Tushar, you really have to just scoot, scoot, scoot in to get those buttock bones on the wall. Just keep scooting. Nobody's watching but me. Allow your eyes to close. Do not do maximum effort here. Just use enough effort to keep your legs on the wall at this point. This is the cooling down period. And Tushar, go ahead and bend your elbows and put your hands, palms up near your head so that you're even, but not under your head. Yeah, just as if they're goalposts. So straight up from your elbow toward the camera. Yes, like that. Yeah, unless that's really uncomfortable. But that way you're in a symmetrical position. And if you had had your hands on your head for a long time, it could cut off circulation to your fingers, which is why we don't do that. There. With every exhalation, allow the abdomen to pacify toward the ground. Laura, it looks like those blankets might be coming too far up toward your chest side because it looks like your head is really tipped back. Are the blankets close to the wall? I can't, sorry. Shorter, just like a fist distance. Yeah, it's just to let your buttocks descend a little bit. It shouldn't be really, really far. Thank you. And I think that will allow your head not to tip back so far because the forehead, according to Mr. Iyengar, and when the forehead slopes toward the chin downward, yes, then we can rest. When it's sloping backward, the nervous system can't relax. Yeah, that looks much more peaceful to me. Thank you. One more minute here. Observe how the breath pacifies the abdomen. Bend your knees into your chest. Roll to your side. And set up for your Savasana. So Savasana is always our last pose. It's corpse pose. And if you have lower back issues, the best way to do your Savasana is with a chair under your shins. So I will show. like this, and since this is a metal chair, I'm just gonna put something that's not cold on top of it, but Tushar, your chair is padded, so you wouldn't need that. So I would just put my shins up in the chair and lie down. If you use support for your head, it should come all the way to the tops of the shoulders, but it should not go under the shoulders, and it should also be as little support as you comfortably can use, because the flatter the spine can be, the better. When I'm in this position, I lift my buttocks, move the buttock flesh away from my head to elongate the spine, and then release it again, arms out at least 45 degrees away from my body, and then I just release all effort. Same thing if you're not using a chair, you always start with bent knees, lie the torso down, roll and tuck the shoulders under, lift the buttocks, move the buttock flesh toward the heels, and then extend one leg and then the other. Then for me, I always need to retuck my shoulders because moving the legs always misaligns them. And then arms away from the body, palms up, and relax. If you wear glasses, remove your glasses so that your temples can be soft. And this is the time to release all effort. Allow your eyes to release into the back of your head. Let your tongue release. Relax your jaw. Relax your throat. If thoughts come into your mind, acknowledge them and let them go. Then return your attention to your own breath. Draw your awareness back. Extend your fingers. Extend your toes. Bring your hands to your rib cage. Draw one knee into your chest and hold it. Followed by the other, and hold them both. Roll to your side and rest for a moment. Take your time coming out of Savasana. And when you're ready, head last. Use your hands to press yourself up to seated, but don't drive with your head. Let your head hang. Yes. We so like to drive with the head. Let's pay our respects to the practice.